Hey guys, welcome to Most Craved. I'm Jenna Bush with Legion of Leia.
I'm Silas Lesnick with ComingSoon.net.
And I'm William Bibiani with Crave Online. Hey, Star Wars! Those crazy Star Wars! That's what we're reviewing.
So we didn't have to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're reviewing Star Wars. And just so you know, we're going to be talking about spoilers. That's why we waited so long.
Yeah, this is all spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie...
Our camera guy has not yet seen the movie. So if you hear anyone go, oh, crap, that's him, and we're sorry about that. But we've all seen the movie, and overall, I think we dig it.
Yeah. I loved it. Loved it. No one is surprised by this, I'm quite certain.
What would it have taken for you not to love it?
Oh, there are so many things that could have gone wrong.
Okay.
So many things that could have gone wrong. But I absolutely did. I think I love all the main characters, and one of the things that I loved the most about it were the connections between characters, the chemistry that they had.
That's something that we've really been missing in the prequels, I think. There's a lot of
chemistry
genuine...
in the prequels.
There's no chemistry in the prequels.
None.
I just rewatched them. They're really, really just everyone's sort of talking at something. There's not a lot of give and take.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of personality. And the characters in this movie, there's still... this isn't a Pinter play, but like they're still kind of broad. But they have genuine emotions. They respond to things in a natural way. They're funny.
Okay, John Boyega is so freaking funny.
They're funny. They're funny again. This has the spirit of that, where it feels like that was the thing I loved about the original Star Wars. It was a fantasy environment in which everything felt very real.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't hold up to close scrutiny, it felt very, very real. And this one captures that.
Yeah. I particularly loved. Of course, I loved Rey. I loved how capable she was in that, like, hey, you know what, this movie with this amazing female character who knows tech did so well. Just throwing that out there. But I thought Daisy Ridley was phenomenal. I really thought she was wonderful.
She was very charismatic, and I think this is a good segue to talk about one of the reactions people have had online, which I would like to congratulate everyone online for learning the expression Mary Sue this weekend. Now, let me explain what it actually means. Because everyone's saying this like it's the most horrible thing in the world. The idea that Rey is good at a lot of stuff and that she's doesn't really have a lot of flaws. And neither does James Bond, neither does Ethan Hunt. It is an action movie. We have a kick-ass heroine in a movie who is awesome at stuff, and she's very likable, and she plays it really, really well.
And she has force powers, so there is part of that.
Yeah, that's one of the things about Star Wars is like you have the Force, and it's a way of simplifying the verisimilitude of these people doing extraordinary things.
Yeah.
And I think that the whole Mary Sue thing is so incredibly stupid. It falls on gendered lines when it really shouldn't. It's not a gendered term.
We didn't discuss this with Luke, so...
Right. Well, in all fairness, Luke at this beginning of Star Wars is whiny and selfish, and he overcomes that and becomes less so. But regardless, it doesn't matter what the term is. First off, everyone's like, "Oh, is it a Marty Stew if it's a male character?" It doesn't really matter.
No, they don't.
It is a writing term that just refers to a somewhat implausibly great character. But within certain genres, of which Star Wars is definitely one, it's fine. It's a fun movie. You're creating heroes or people to look up to. If she had nothing interesting to say or do, then it might be a stinker. But it's great. I got no problem.
Bella in Twilight is a Mary Sue.
Absolutely.
Well,
there's plenty.
Mary Sue was a term in Star Trek fan fiction in the 60s. There was a woman that was writing Star Trek fan fiction, and she would put herself, and she was on the Enterprise, and it was like, well, the Enterprise is going to do something, and she's as smart as Spock, and like as brave as Kirk, and as knowledgeable as Dr. McCoy, and nobody wants to see a character that does everything in the movie. I don't think Rey is that.
Well, in all fairness, Mary Sue is sort of a nebulous term. It's sort of like film noir. It was applied kind of after the fact into a lot of things, and there's no like specific criteria.
Well, that's what it is. That was the character named Mary Sue. And
I
that's where it
know,
comes
but
from.
my point is that it's now used in its use as a descriptor within a writing jargon. There are things you can be a Mary Sue without hitting every single one of the original Mary Sue bullet points. Just like you can be a film noir if you don't have chiaroscuro black and white lighting.
The trouble is it's just classifying things into genres, and it's a waste of time because only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Silence.
Which is an absolute. I love that. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. That's an absolute, so you're a Sith.
Oh my God, what's happening? Okay, wait, movie.
That always bothered me.
I will say I have one of the things I like about Star Wars is I think that Star Wars as a franchise exists well beyond the film. Yeah. And even if the movie itself was bad, which I really liked it, will admit I was a little let down by a couple things. I think that what it's done and the sort of magic of it and like the idea of the Force Awakenings, there's negative sides of it. It was like, oh, there's a lot of commercialism there. They're selling a lot of Star Wars products.
To me.
But like it's one of those things. It's like the cave on Dagobah, where like you only get out of it what you take with you, and that's the beauty of Star Wars. And to that, I think it was pretty exceptional.
Yeah, and I have to say that the first thing, and yes, of course I cried, but the first thing that happened when I got out of the movie, the first thing that I said was, I love Rey. When I was a little girl, I saw Princess Leia, and it changed my life. It changed my feelings on what a woman could be. And I just realized how many little girls are going to see this movie, and this is going to make the difference for them. And that alone.
That's why if anyone says, "Oh, she's like too perfect a hero," we need that once in a while. Yeah. This is Star Wars. Yeah. This is not, Spotlight. This is a different element. This is a different genre.
Well, I'm reading the novelization right now, and there's definitely a lot of, I'm not really sure I want to do the right thing in Rey before, in the book. Mm-hmm. So there's that as well, and there's definitely some interesting things in the flashbacks that she has. And then the other thing I want to talk about is Kylo Ren, because I loved Kylo Ren.
He's great. Adam Driver is really one of the best villains I've seen on camera in a while.
I think he even retroactively makes Hayden Christensen's performance better.
Really? I think
because you look at the sort of like
worse.
angry, I don't think it's a great performance, but just the idea of this is what is flowing through this family and this type of rage and like.
Yes,
absolutely.
But here's the thing: Adam Driver, and partially it's because he's got a more character-driven director and he's got different dialogue. But regardless, he has such an interesting and emotional performance that it just makes Hayden Christensen look more like a serial killer on Ambien. Like, he is just sleepy, that entire franchise, and like all of the doubt and everything, it's all academic. You never see it in his performance. You see it in Adam Driver's performance, and he is fantastic. And I know some people have said like, he loses control, and isn't that that's not as scary as someone who's totally in control like Darth Vader. I think that's scarier.
I think it's scarier.
I think someone who will lose their mind once in a while and just destroy things.
Yeah.
And he's in charge.
Yeah. And the guy who's in charge above him is like, yes, good. Do more of that. and it's so, I mean, those like incredible rage moments, those two rage moments where he's just hacking stuff up. Like, that reminds me of like you've met people who are just they're even keeled, and then all of a sudden they just snap and you never know when it's coming, and it's interesting because I'm curious what you guys think in terms of who Rey is and whether or not she's Luke's daughter.
I kind of hope she's not, because I like the idea of it not like it belongs to everyone.
Yeah.
It's just something that anyone can.
And we watched, because I kind of feel like she will be, but obviously I don't know. But there are definitely moments, and I'm looking through the book now as I'm reading it too, and I'm seeing that there are moments like, what girl? So it could be that she's some like she could have been another prediction, another
prophecy, chosen one.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. But there are definitely clues, and like when she leaves to talk to Finn, and Maz Kanata is like, tell me about the girl, and then Maz Kanata ends up downstairs with her in that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard that before.
It's a possibility. I don't know.
It's possible. It's also possible that they needed to explain to Maz Kanata who she was so Maz Kanata could have a conversation with her.
Right.
But they didn't want to repeat information the audience already knew. So it's possible Reed's mentioned this. I think a lot of the things with Rey that a lot of people are looking for are clues are actually potentially explained within the text. Like, how was she that good at the Force? Well, Kylo Ren was just inside her head, and they clearly established that she got inside his head, and maybe she took things
Force
out
Awakens.
with her.
Yeah,
she took some of his training out with her, which might develop something interesting in the sequels, in which she maybe is torn between the light and the dark side as well. But for me, that's actually one of the interesting things. You ask yourself, who is Rey? How fascinating is that? When you watch A New Hope, you don't need those questions to appreciate the movie. You don't even have to ask who is Darth Vader. They explain it, and there you go. There's so much of this movie that kind of only works really, really well because we know there are sequels that are going to explore it more. On its own, it's actually very much a teaser for a lot of stuff that's coming in the future. And on one hand, I find that kind of frustrating because I feel like it's an incomplete movie experience. On the other hand, that's kind of the genius of getting a TV producer to direct it, because it's got everyone asking what happens in the next episode, as opposed to why we didn't have a satisfying complete story.
Because I mean, if you figure at the end of Empire, like you don't know what's going to happen to Han. Like I don't.
And that's Empire. I'm talking about A New Hope.
No,
this
I
first
know,
chapter.
but I mean, I don't mind it because it is. Everyone knows it's the part 1 of 3, and then there's other things going on. But I don't mind it. I like the speculation before the film. I like being able to think, hey, I wonder if she's this person, or I wonder who's Maz Kanata. Will we see more Captain Phasma, which I strongly suspect we will.
I don't know. I like the idea that Captain Phasma is maybe just a cool-looking background character that people latched onto. That's what happened with Boba Fett.
Yeah,
like,
I still have the sweatshirt.
Boba Fett got to do stuff, though.
No, he didn't really. He waited around for somebody else to capture Han.
He was the only one who knew what Han was doing to get out of the garbage
I didn't really
thing.
know
In all fairness, Boba Fett got built up too much, but it would disappoint me if Captain Phasma got built up too much, because Disney was a big part of building up Captain Phasma too much.
Film.
Yeah, like that. See, that doesn't bother me, and I will wear the Captain Phasma sweatshirt. If you make one, please make one. I'll buy it. But just like I do with Boba Fett, I have a Boba Fett mug. It doesn't matter what he did in the film. I like him. He's cool.
But the whole Captain Phasma Boba Fett thing, it does talk about one of the things that I think a lot of people are talking about, and some people love it, some people don't love it. It's just how much of the original trilogy this movie recycles. Now, they recycle the plot, they recycle the character introductions, they recycle the character types, they recycle the Death Star.
See, I don't think that's bad. Well, the Death Star part,
Death Star
that was my one issue.
Is where the movie...
that's where it bothered me.
Because it feels like a video game, and it feels like even the characters are bored by, oh, it's the Death Star again? Like, but it does the same thing, but it's this much bigger.
Yeah.
And then a janitor says, what about if you shoot this port? And they're like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
It's a slap in the face to all the Bothans that died to steal the original Death Star
Manny Bothans
plans.
was actually just one guy named Manny.
Manny Bothans. Never heard that.
That used to be canon. That was in Tag and Bink are Dead.
I haven't heard before.
Tag and Bink are Dead. Did you ever read that?
No.
I don't think
I gotta loan that to you. It's so funny.
That's
the funniest thing ever. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what Disney says. That's still canon.
That's
Read
really
Tag
good.
and Bink are Dead.
But I mean that bothered me. The recycling the character types. I mean, this has always been a very Joseph Campbell hero's journey thing, so that doesn't bother me. And I also think that aside from what you're telling story-wise, you still do have to make things up to some fans who are really pissed off about the prequels. And I don't mind that. The new Death Star thing, though, like, I'm sorry. Oh, there's always a way to... No.
Yeah, there's always something to do.
The Empire and now the First Order, like they didn't learn the first few times you did that.
I loved. There was the one joke on Family Guy I really liked was, can we just cover that up with some plywood or something?
I know.
I interviewed Lawrence Kasdan for this, and one of the things I asked, and I had to re-interview him before I saw the movie, but we saw on the poster, there's another freaking Death Star.
Yeah.
I was like, there's another Death Star. Were you worried about being too cyclical? And he said, well, we thought about it, and we realized there would be two kinds of people in the audience. The people who go, ooh, another Death Star, and the people who go, oh, another Death Star? And we figured, what the heck, basically. They'll either piss off people who wanted to see another Death Star, or they'll piss off people who didn't want to see another Death Star. On some level, this movie has been built up so unbelievably much that I equated it to finally getting to sleep with like your high school crush 30 years later.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, awesome. Now what? Like, do we...
I will say by the end of the film, there is a lack of... what do I want from these characters? Because Finn's life is much better off. He's escaped. He's gone off and done this. Rey, it'd be cool to see her be trained, but she's honestly doing just fine on her own.
It's pretty complete.
I don't know what to want next.
See, that's my thing. I feel like Finn has a really interesting character setup, but for the most part, a lot of the new characters, they're just kind of awesome, and then the movie's over. Like Poe Dameron. Love him. Oscar Isaac is charming as hell. What's he about? What does he want?
My feeling is that this you kind of had to set it up in this manner, and now we can go.
I don't think wanting more is a bad thing.
Yeah.
I will say that the movie ends on a moment that is. It just is unfulfilling. Like the twist that Luke Skywalker is not really in the movie is not fun.
Yeah.
Like he's running Monty Python, Sir not appearing in this film.
Yeah. That's actually, no, it's true. Like there's certain things, and that's only interesting and satisfying because you know there'll be another one. But they still have to work as individual installments, don't they? We call these episodes. Don't individual episodes of a show have to work?
Well, and I think it does. I think if you look at it
does.
as about being these other people and It is a fun movie, independent of
very
that. I will say there is that impatient, I want more and I want it now, and that's not necessarily a good thing in an audience member, but I can't deny that it's there. And
for me, I just wanted, I feel like this movie would have hit me a lot harder if J.J. Abrams would have slowed down enough for the characters to actually talk more. There's a couple of key scenes, obviously, but there's so much of this movie where I don't really have an emotional connection to anyone. I'm just, and now we're on this ship, and there are monsters, and now we're on this planet.
See, I love that. I thought it was fun.
That's fun, but I'm not very involved.
To J.J. Abrams' credit, he wanted another 6 months to work on the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
He did an incredible job for the short. I mean, it was
amount of
within
time.
3
Yeah.
years. This movie was
Conceived, written, rewritten from
Cast.
scratch,
Yep.
and directed, and granted, yes.
With practical effects.
A lot of practical
I
effects.
mean, just I'm still blown away.
And they gave us that big close-up of that giant monster butt on Jakku.
I like that was like a very earnest, like, George Lucas probably would have done that. It felt like a nice nod, frankly.
It was
That
fun.
was cute. It made me happy.
I liked I liked the sort of middle finger they gave to the original prequel trilogy by blowing up Coruscant. It's like,
It wasn't Coruscant.
That wasn't Coruscant.
It looked like Coruscant and it functioned like Coruscant.
No,
it's a different.
It's a different system.
How much cooler
How
would
do
have
we know
been
that?
if it was just a planet and we saw the Empire basically doing the strike from A New Hope, but it was the Empire attacking the Death Star, except it's a planet that is like what's running the New Republic.
Yeah.
It would have been a cooler way to invert things.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm still a little hazy on the actual state of affairs politically in this galaxy.
Yeah.
Is the Empire
Yeah.
actually in charge still?
The thing is, I don't know how much you really know that if you just watched A New Hope and didn't see anything
Yeah.
else. I don't know if you understand the...
They
say,
did all the political stuff in the prequels.
No, they did it. They say at the beginning of New Hope, hey, there's an emperor and he just dissolved the Senate and now we're a fascist regime. They're just in charge of everything.
But you don't really know that much. And you do hear that like the Republic is still like it's running stuff and the New Order is rising at the same time.
That's the thing.
First Order is
That's a
rising
little
at the same
hazy. In
time.
the first one, it's clearly
Yeah.
it's just a fascistic imperial empire. There may be other people operating under their own auspices, but this is clearly emperor. It's kind of specific. He runs an empire. We're in an empire. We don't like the emperor. We'll fight the emperor. Easy. Got it. Understood.
Politics are complicated. I do want to say something about BB-8 though, because you kept telling me that I was going to end up hating BB-8, and
But he's BB great.
Shut up.
Oh, Silas. Oh, sweetie. No, that was. I
Wow.
love BB-8, and I particularly liked the moment where he was tapping his little head on R2-D2. That made me happy. There were like little tiny moments that really stuck out, like when Chewbacca keeps handing Han his jacket. Like, you're going to be cold. Have this.
It's a little weird. I did find that there's not a lot of spaceships in the movie that we haven't seen before. And to me, that was one of the fun things about Star Wars, was seeing all these crazy designs. And we really don't get any spaceships outside of X-Wings and TIE Fighters.
Yeah.
Well,
Imagine we
the
might
Star
see.
Killer is technically a spaceship. It can move.
It's a bigger Death Star.
I like that it has its own atmosphere, though. I like that it actually has a planet on it. Like, I thought that was kind of neat.
I feel like it's just so, like, it would have been cooler if, like, it's powered by a star and we can, like, depower the star and render it useless.
Well, why can't it be a Dyson sphere?
Could be a Dyson sphere.
You know, I would also like to point out that the Empire has terrible building techniques because all of their bridges have no rails.
They've never had railings.
They've never had railings.
Go back to New Hope.
Oh, no,
no railing.
No, they never have railings. No,
I
I'm
did-
just saying they're not good at bridges.
What I love about this movie, and I'm going to say this, what I love about this movie is that they finally answer the lingering question from Clerks: Can a stormtrooper install a toilet man? Because Finn works in sanitation. So yes.
So he knows how to blow up the Star
He
Killer
does.
base.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Done.
And the moment where the whole death of Han Solo, just that was. I knew it was coming.
Why did you name him Ben?
Ben Kenobi.
But that's not his name. His name's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I know.
Ben is a fake name he used when
I
he lived
know.
in Tatooine.
Maybe he's named after someone else they
Ben
know named
Quadraneros.
Yeah.
Could be. Could be.
Oh,
Famous pod racer.
Here's a question. Possibly. Here's a serious question. Here's a serious question I want to know. Who the heck was Max von Sydow playing?
Presumably somebody with connections to
Lor
Luke that we'll
Santeca.
find.
His name is Lor Santeca.
And why is
and-
they say that he's important, but they give absolutely no explanation for why that is.
Well, there's a little bit in the book, but it's someone that my guess is just like with A New Hope, where we are dropped in the middle of a story. We're also dropped there. There's history that's happened that we don't know, but he was obviously somebody very important to the whole fight after. And he's known Leia for a very long time, and he's been part of the Resistance.
It's odd to begin the film with that.
Well, the trouble with the film, in some degree, is that the MacGuffin is there's a map to Luke Skywalker, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the plot.
Yep.
And it almost is unlocked like a video game. That like, oh, once you blow up the Death Star, it's unlocked, and now you can do this map.
Yeah.
Which is its separate story, and there is an underwhelming.
Honestly, the destruction of the Starkiller doesn't have the same dramatic heft as the destruction of the Death Star, and I think the big reason is because the movie is kind of just moving apace so long. There's never a moment that makes it clear, and this is the important thing.
Yeah, even in the theater, I remember thinking, like, is this ending now?
Is this the third
and
act?
I remember thinking, oh no, because
I
Mark
thought the same
Hamill's in
thing.
this movie.
Yeah.
It can't be ending.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, the pacing is so brisk that sometimes it doesn't necessarily do the story the most favors. Still fun. I would still say it's probably the third or fourth best Star Wars movie.
I'm not even going to argue with you about that because it's.
I
absolutely.
Where do you rank it? We got to wrap this
I don't
up.
think
Where do you rank
ranking
it?
is.
I don't
You
think
have to rank it. You're on the internet.
I would say
don't think I can
fourth.
rank it.
I don't get people that trash Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi it's awesome.
Yeah.
It begins with like a 30-minute heist movie.
I was the right age for the Ewoks. I was. Now I appreciate that it would have been better if it was Wookiees, but I was the right age.
I like the murder bears.
The murder bears are great. They're cannibalistic murder bears.
They're dead-eyed cannibal murder bears.
Yes, because the dress. Like, where does she get the dress? Whose dress was that? They ate someone.
Well, I don't think they're not cannibals unless they're eating other Ewoks.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
They're just eating us, and we
Maybe
just
they're
don't
eating each other,
appreciate
you don't
that.
know.
They might. They're probably eating each other. Hey, everybody, what did you think of Star Wars? Tweet us at Most Craved and come back next week when we'll talk about other stuff. Bye.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force continue to be with you.